The doll was a charming antique from the early 20th century, with soft curls of blonde hair and a delicate lace dress. It was the perfect addition to the young couple's vintage collection, and they couldn't resist purchasing it at the antique shop. As they brought the doll home, they were both filled with a sense of nostalgia and excitement. They placed it on the shelf in their living room, admiring its delicate features and vintage charm. They didn't know that the doll was much more than just an antique. As the days went by, strange things began to happen. The couple would wake up in the middle of the night to find the doll had moved from its spot on the shelf. They brushed it off as their imagination and continued on with their daily routines. But soon, the doll's movements became more frequent and noticeable. One day, the couple returned home to find the doll sitting in the middle of their living room floor, its once charming smile replaced by a sinister grin. They both felt an eerie chill run down their spines as they looked at the doll. They decided to move the doll to their bedroom, hoping that it would put an end to the strange occurrences. However, the doll continued to move around their room, and they could hear it whispering to them in the dead of night. They began to feel as though they were being watched, and their once peaceful home now felt like a place of fear and unease. Despite their growing concern, they refused to believe that the doll could be anything more than just an innocent antique. But as they soon discovered, the doll was a conduit for something far more sinister. As the days went by, the couple started to experience strange dreams and visions. They saw themselves being stalked by shadowy figures in the night, and they could feel the presence of something evil lurking in the shadows. The couple's once peaceful life had been shattered, and they began to realize that their beloved antique was not as innocent as they had once thought. The doll had become a source of terror and evil, and they were now trapped in its malevolent grasp. Little did they know that a satanic cult was behind the doll's transformation, and they were about to be dragged into a nightmare they could never have imagined. The young couple had no idea what they were dealing with when they brought the antique doll into their home. The doll had become a conduit for evil, and a satanic cult had taken notice. Late one night, the couple was awakened by a loud banging on their front door. They peered through the window to see a group of shadowy figures standing outside, their faces obscured by hooded ropes. The couple hesitated to answer the door, but the banging grew louder and more insistent. Finally, they mustered up the courage to answer, only to be greeted by a terrifying sight. The cult members had invaded their home, and they were armed with knives and other weapons. The couple tried to escape, but the cult members quickly cornered them, trapping them in their own home. The cult members began to chant in a strange language, and the room filled with an otherworldly energy. The couple could feel an intense pressure building around them, and they knew that they were in grave danger. Suddenly, the doll began to move on its own, its eyes glowing with a malevolent energy. The couple watched in horror as the doll floated into the air, surrounded by an aura of darkness. The cult members continued their chanting, their voices growing louder and more frenzied. The couple could feel the doll's power growing, and they knew that they were about to be consumed by an unspeakable evil. In a desperate attempt to save themselves, the couple grabbed the doll and tried to destroy it. But as they tried to break the doll's porcelain body, they were met with resistance. It was as if the doll was indestructible, a vessel for the darkness that had consumed it. The cult members laughed as the couple struggled, taunting them with their impending doom. The couple realized that they were facing an enemy far beyond their understanding, and they were helpless to stop it. As the chanting reached a fever pitch, the couple felt a sharp pain in their chests. They fell to the ground, their bodies writhing in agony as the darkness consumed them. The cult members vanished into the night, leaving the couple to face the horrifying consequences of their encounter with the satanic cult. The doll remained, a silent witness to the terror that had taken hold of their once peaceful home. After the terrifying encounter with the satanic cult, the young couple's home was forever changed. The once peaceful atmosphere had been replaced with an unrelenting sense of fear and unease. The antique doll that had seemed harmless before had transformed into a malevolent entity, and the couple couldn't explain the strange occurrences that continued to happen. At first, it was small things, like the doll's eyes seeming to follow them around the room or its dress moving as if it had a life of its own. But as time passed, the occurrences became more sinister. The couple would hear the sound of the doll's laughter echoing through their home, even though they knew that it was impossible for it to make any noise. They tried to get rid of the doll, but every time they threw it away or tried to burn it, it would mysteriously reappear in their home. It was as if the doll was indestructible, a vessel for the darkness that had consumed it. The couple tried to ignore the strange occurrences, hoping that they would eventually stop. But they couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched, that the doll was always there, lurking in the shadows. As the weeks went by, the couple started to notice changes in the doll's appearance. Its once delicate features had twisted into a sinister expression, and its eyes seemed to glow with an otherworldly energy. They began to research the doll's history, hoping to find answers to their growing concern. What they discovered was a dark and disturbing past, one that was intertwined with the satanic cult that had terrorized them. The doll had once been used by the cult in their rituals, serving as a vessel for their dark magic. It had become a conduit for evil, and the couple had unwittingly brought it into their home. The couple knew that they had to find a way to rid themselves of the doll's influence before it was too late. They consulted with experts in the paranormal and tried various cleansing rituals, but nothing seemed to work. As the doll's power continued to grow, the couple realized that they were in a fight for their very souls. They had to find a way to break the doll's hold on them, or they would be consumed by the darkness that had taken root in their home. But as they soon discovered, the doll's power was far beyond their understanding, and they were about to face a horror that they could never have imagined. As the doll's power continued to grow, the young couple became increasingly desperate to find a way to rid themselves of its malevolent influence. They consulted with experts in the paranormal and tried various cleansing rituals, but nothing seemed to work. They knew that they were in a fight for their very souls, and time was running out. One night, as the couple lay in bed, they heard a soft creaking noise coming from the corner of the room. They turned on the light to see the doll standing on the dresser, its eyes glowing with an otherworldly energy. The couple tried to get out of bed, but they found that they couldn't move. It was as if they were paralyzed, trapped in their own bodies. They watched in horror as the doll began to move, its porcelain limbs creaking with each step. The doll approached the bed, and the couple could see the malevolent energy emanating from it. They knew that they were in grave danger, but they were powerless to stop the doll's advance. Suddenly, the doll lunged at them, its porcelain arms outstretched. The couple tried to defend themselves, but it was no use. The doll's power was too great, and they were no match for its strength. The doll's attacks continued throughout the night, each one more terrifying than the last. It seemed to take pleasure in their suffering, reveling in the fear that it had instilled in them. As the night wore on, the couple's bodies began to weaken, and they knew that they were close to death. But just when all hope seemed lost, a strange light appeared in the corner of the room. The light grew brighter and brighter, and the couple could feel a sense of warmth and protection emanating from it. The doll recoiled at the sight of the light, as if it was repelled by its power. The light enveloped the couple, and they felt themselves being lifted out of their bodies. They watched in awe as the doll writhed in agony, consumed by the light's power. The couple found themselves in a bright and beautiful place, surrounded by love and warmth. They knew that they had been saved by a force greater than themselves, a force that had protected them from the doll's evil. As they looked back on their experience, they knew that they would never be the same. The doll had changed them forever, but they had emerged stronger, more resilient, and more determined than ever before to fight against the darkness that had consumed their lives. The young couple knew that they had to confront the satanic cult that had brought the evil doll into their lives. They had researched the cult's history and discovered that it had a long and violent past, filled with ritual sacrifices and dark magic. They knew that the cult was still active, and that they posed a threat not only to themselves, but to anyone who came into contact with them. They decided to take action, to confront the cult and uncover the truth behind their terrifying experience. They began by contacting the authorities, but they soon realized that they were dealing with a force that was beyond the reach of the law. The cult operated in secret, and they had powerful allies in high places. The couple knew that they would have to take matters into their own hands if they wanted to bring the cult to justice. They gathered a small group of trusted friends and allies, and together they began to investigate the cult's activities. They discovered that the cult had infiltrated many areas of society, from politics to the entertainment industry. They were everywhere, and they seemed to be growing more powerful with each passing day. The couple and their allies knew that they had to act fast if they wanted to stop the cult's evil plans. They began to gather evidence, taking photographs and recording conversations. They knew that they were putting themselves in danger, but they were determined to see justice served. Finally, they had enough evidence to confront the cult. They organized a meeting, inviting the cult's leaders to a secluded location. When the cult members arrived, they were confronted by the couple and their allies, who presented them with the evidence of their crimes. The cult members were shocked and enraged. They denied everything, claiming that the couple and their allies were the ones who were possessed by evil forces. They tried to attack the group, but they were no match for their determination and strength. In the end, the cult members were arrested and brought to justice. The couple and their allies had succeeded in stopping their evil plans, and they had exposed the truth behind their terrifying experience. But even as they celebrated their victory, the couple knew that they would never be able to forget the horrors that they had endured. The evil doll had brought them to the brink of death, and the cult had threatened to destroy everything that they held dear. They knew that they had emerged from their experience stronger and more resilient than ever before. They had confronted the darkness that had consumed their lives and had emerged victorious. But they also knew that they would always be on guard, ready to face any threat that might come their way. After the confrontation with the satanic cult, the young couple thought that their lives would return to normal. However, they quickly realized that the trauma they had experienced would not be easy to overcome. They were haunted by the memories of the evil doll and the cult's terrifying rituals. They knew that they needed to find a way to cope with their trauma and move forward with their lives. The couple began seeking therapy to help them deal with the aftermath of their experience. They talked about their fears and anxieties with a trained professional who could guide them towards healing. Through therapy, they were able to work through their trauma and develop coping mechanisms to help them manage their emotions. They also leaned on each other for support. The couple knew that they had gone through something that few people could understand, but they had each other to rely on. They spent time together, talking about their experience and how they could move forward. They made a conscious effort to support each other and to be there for one another through the difficult times. Additionally, the couple found solace in their hobbies and interests. They tried to engage in activities that brought them joy and helped them take their mind off their trauma. For the husband, it was playing guitar and listening to music. For the wife, it was painting and writing. Over time, the couple began to heal from their experience. They still had bad days, but they also had good days. They started to feel like themselves again, and they were able to move forward with their lives. They knew that they would never forget what had happened to them, but they also knew that they didn't have to let their trauma define them. They also took steps to ensure that no one else would have to go through the same experience they had. They became advocates for mental health and trauma survivors, speaking out about their experience and encouraging others to seek help if they needed it. In the end, the young couple emerged from their experience stronger and more resilient than ever before. They had faced their fears and overcome them, and they had developed the tools they needed to cope with trauma. They knew that they would never forget the horrors they had experienced, but they also knew that they had the power to overcome anything that came their way.